because as we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there's some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns, the ones we don't know we don't know.
Yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And today, we're looking at, what's the title of this piece? As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do the sound check. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're live. Yes, yes. Okay. Sound check is complete. Looks like we're in good shape. Okay, so statue toppling, anti-protesters, and Winston Churchill. London 2020. Okay, James Jameson up in the building early. Okay, we're doing this. This one was unscheduled. I've been thinking about it, When do I do it? When do I go live? When do I go live with this shiznix? I thought, damn, I got to put all this together. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of moving parts to this thing. As a matter of fact, let's make this thing official. Have I done what I should have done? Have I done the thing? Let's get this picture up. Let's make the place look nice and tidy before we proceed. What's the name of this thing? It's right there. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, not seeing that. Oh, put it in the wrong place. Let's go again. That was the warm-up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So, toppled statues and Winston Churchill. I had to talk about it. We had to talk about it. We had to talk about it. Couldn't leave this thing undone. Had to catch up with the weekly thing. I think it's been a week since I've touched on this topic. Been probably a week since I've touched on this topic, and time was overdue. We got to get back into it, mate. We got to get back into it and chop it up. Let's get the headline in, and it is in. Okay, it's nice. The area is nice. Session is underway. Okay, so who we got up in the building? Where we at? Okay, it's Let's Go Champ by James Jameson. Where we at? Where else we at? Marla says Churchill was a hero, James. Where else we at? Troy Graham up in the building. Churchill was no hero of mine. Okay, let's put the link in the chat. Let's get the conversation going. Let's get this thing flowing. Where we at? Okay, I see you in the background. Link is in the chat. Okay. Marla saying, Troy, you stood against the Nazis when everyone else was folding. The world should have been grateful. The world should be grateful. Currently. Okay. People are populating. People are coming on in. Mr. Squiggly. Live from England. It's the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio Show with your host. Okay, James Jameson saying, Troy, How would Europe have looked if Hitler would have won? That's a very good question, and Troy will be here to give you his views on that. And the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Don't stand on the sidelines. Come on in. Come on in and share your views. Okay. So how am I going to start this thing? Who's that? Who could it be? Who's knocking at the door?
Yes. Bless up yourself.
Yeah.
Troy Graham, aka Mr. Big Up and Bless Up Yourself. And you have a Jamaican here on Sunday, boy. You you're blessed. Y'all don't do nothing on Sunday.
Yeah. You got your background noise. That's not blessed. That background noise ain't blessed.
What noise? The table I just moved?
Okay, the table moving ain't blessed.
Hey, I have to move it to do something. But yeah, I mean, I can always put myself on mute, but I can answer these questions real quick.
You can answer the questions real quick after.
All right. Well, there we go. I'm gonna put myself on mute since
after we've gone into the warm in. After we've done the warming, after we've gone to our exhibits. Okay, let me take that down, and let's get into some of these links. Okay, this is the part I was dreading. I'm gonna have to line these up. I don't know. Maybe a professional movie director would have sketched all of these, mapped all of these things out. Maybe he would have done. Okay, so now where do I go? Who do I go with first? Okay, I think we're gonna have to go with Churchill. Okay, let's share the screen. Let's share the screen. Yeah. Let's get into this. Boom. Okay, we're diving into the deep end. I thought we'd stay in the shallow end first, but no. Let's go. Damn, let me take this down as well. Don't want to block out anything. Let me take this down. Okay. Uh-oh. What's that? What's that doing there? Maybe put it back. Uh-oh, can't do that either. All right. We have to go with it like this. Okay. Okay, so with this one, it says, with time spent in Afghanistan, he said, all who resist will be killed without quarter, because the Pashtuns need to recognize the superiority of race. We proceed systematically, village by village, and we destroyed the houses, filled up the wells, and blew down the towers. Words of Winston Churchill. Oh, there's more. Cut down the great shady trees, burnt the crops, and broke the reservoirs in punitive devastation. South Africa, 1899. Thousands were sent to British-run concentration camps during the Boer Wars. Churchill summed up his time in South Africa by saying it was great fun galloping about. Concentration camps, folks. Concentration camps. Be mindful of that. Okay. South Africa. In June 1908, Churchill argued that Afrikaner should be allowed self-rule, which would mean black people would be excluded from voting. Black people in Africa excluded from voting. Very interesting. Palestine, 1917. Churchill regarded the Palestinian to be lower manifestation, and that of dog in a manger has the final right to the manger. I don't really understand that too well. Without Winston Churchill, people these days throwing stones at him wouldn't even be in the UK. Yes, that is quite true. And without Winston Churchill, the Dutch wouldn't have overruled the native of the South African land, and the South African wouldn't have suffered for decades under the barrel of the Boer and the English. Let us continue. Churchill stated that he believed in intention of the Balfour Declaration was to make Palestine an overwhelmingly Jewish state. Saudi Arabia, 1922. Churchill described Ibn Saud's Wahhabis as intolerant, well-armed, and bloodthirsty, and said, "My admiration for him, Imbad, was deep because of his unfailing loyalty to us." I hope you're liking the accent, guys. Prior to 1922, the British were paying Ibn Saud a subsidy of £60,000 per year. Churchill, then colonial secretary, raised it to £100,000 per year for sucking out the oil. Paid him a subsidy because he built the oil wells and gave them a small percentage. I'll tell you one thing. That guy was a good businessman. Churchill was a good businessman, and before anybody gets their knickers in a twist, I am neither for or against at this stage. We're just coming up with some of the key points. Of course, we're going to have the discussion, but don't think we're judging. We're not judging yet. We're just setting the table. Merely setting the table. Hope you enjoyed the accent. Iraq, 1920. In the 1920s, various groups in the region rose up against the British. Under the direction of Churchill, the Air Force was then put into action, indiscriminately bombing civilian areas. Churchill advised that the provision of some kind of asphyxiating bombs should be used for use in preliminary operations against the turbulent tribes in order to take control of Iraq. Let us continue. India, 1943. Churchill's hatred for Indians led to 4 million starving to death during the Bengal famine of 1943. Churchill was quoted as saying, "I hate Indians. They are beastly people with a beastly religion. Let them be damned." I added the last bit. But don't get it twisted, though. Gandhi was a well-known racist. Yeah, you heard what I said, and I can back it up too. So don't get it twisted. But anyway, the British Army took millions of tons of rice from starving people. And Churchill said the famine was their own fault for breeding like rabbits. They breed too quickly. Let us continue. Greece, 1944. The British Army, under Churchill's guidance, perpetrated a massacre on the streets of Athens, where 28 protesters were shot dead and a further 128 injured. Let us proceed. The British backed the right-wing government in Greece, returned from exile after the very same partisans of the resistance that Churchill ordered the murder of had driven out the Nazi occupiers. Okay, that was awkwardly worded, but ultimately they're saying the British-backed right-wing government in Greece returned from exile after the very same partisans of the resistance that Churchill himself ordered the murder of had driven out the Nazi occupiers. So the partisans drove out the Nazi occupiers, and then the British-backed right-wing government returned to Greece after Churchill oversaw the execution of the partisans who got rid of the Nazis in Greece. Okay, who's the loon? Who is the loon? Who is the loon? Okay, deal with that in a second. Okay, so Churchill believed that Kenya's fertile highlands should only be for white colonial settlers. He approved the forcible removal of the local population, which he termed blackamoors. Okay, so to be clear, in Kenya, Churchill believed that the best lands, the most fertile lands, the highlands, should only be for the white colonial settlers. You see the theme here of stealing land? You see this theme here of stealing land? Only the best land goes to the white man in Churchill's eyes. Okay. I can't go for that, by the way. I can't go for that. We're just analyzing some stuff and going through stuff, but I'll tell you now, I can't go for colonial settlers coming in and stealing the land of the indigenous populace. No way. Hall of Notes. I can't go for that. Say no more. Say no more. Okay. 150,000 men, women, and children were forced into concentration camps. Rape, castration, cigarettes, electric shocks, and fire all were used by the British to torture the Kenyan people. And let that sink in. 150,000 men, women, and children. I'm afraid to say that's a wicked man. That's a wicked man. I've made my mind up. That's a wicked man. I've seen enough. But obviously, everyone has their own mind. But that for me, that just seals it. That might not be the worst, but that seals it. I've seen enough. But we will continue, and we will have the debate. Iraq, 1953. Churchill meddled in Iranian affairs for decades. Churchill helped exclude Iranians from their natural resources and encouraged the looting when the most lived in severe poverty. Okay, so we see a behavior, we see a pattern of behavior. We see a pattern of behavior when Churchill and his men roll into town. When Churchill and his men roll into town, it seems very, very clear. They're looking for the resources. They're looking for the natural resources in that country. They're looking for the most fertile land. So, if there's any farming to be done, who's going to have the best land? It's going to be the Brits. It's going to be the colonial invaders. We're seeing it now. It's clear. And the pattern has emerged. The oil from the Saudis, the natural resources, the minerals from the ground of everywhere they go. And ultimately look to marginalize the indigenous population. Steal their land. And if needs be, send them into famine. Steal their grain too. Millions of tons of rice from India led to 4 million dying in the famine, which was caused. It ain't good. It ain't good. It ain't good at all. OMG. Okay, so when the nationalist government of Mohammad Mossadegh threatened British interest in Iran, Churchill helped organize a coup against Mossadegh in August 1953. Being a proud product of imperialism, he had no issue ousting Mossadegh so Britain could get back to sapping the riches of Iran. Okay. Some of Churchill's greatest moments, greatest hits. Churchill's greatest hits. Where are we? India, 1943, with the famine. Iraq, 1920, with the bombing. Steal the land, steal the minerals, marginalize the indigenous population. Saudi Arabia, 1922. Up in the deal for oil. Went up from 60,000 a year to 100,000 per year, 1992. Greatest hits. Palestine, 1917. Churchill regarded the Palestinians to be a lower manifestation, that of a dog. South Africa, 1898. Damn, how long was this guy around? Thousands were sent to British-run concentration camps during the Boer War. That's pre-Hitler, predates Hitler, concentration camps under Winston Churchill. Afghanistan, 1897. He said those who resist, all who resist, will be killed without quarter, because the Palestinian Pashtuns need to recognize the superiority of race. Who's the superior race then? OMG. OMG. Okay, so. OMG. Okay, so let me get back into. I'm glad I got through that. I was having cold sweats trying to get through that. Oh dear. Oh dear. Whew. That was hard going. That was hard going. That was hard going. That was hard going. Okay. So where are we? Where are we? How am I going to get through all these comments? Okay. So I guess Troy, do you want to come on in? You want to come on in? There's a lot of
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, I was listening to everything you read, but I had my own opinion prior to that. It doesn't sound like a hero to me.
What you do?
It sounds like a tyrant. It sounds like a tyrant. That's
Sounds
what it
like
sounds
what?
like.
Sounds like what?
A tyrant.
A tyrant. Tyrant. Okay,
Dictator.
mute yourself. All right,
Yeah,
cool. Just mute yourself, please. There's a hell of a lot of background noise there.
Okay, there you go. There you go. I'm back. I was muted for a second.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, okay.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you without the noise. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was putting my headphones back in. There was a question asked of me by, is it Malo or somebody in the chat?
Mala.
Yeah, he asked me, he asked me what would Europe look like if Churchill had lost? Why should I care? I was in America. It wasn't the Nazis that was setting dogs and hoses on us. It wasn't the Nazis who was bombing our churches and lynching us. It wasn't the Nazis who was burning crosses on our land. It wasn't the Nazis who killed Emmett Till. So we had our own problems over here. I doubt that my grandmothers and fathers and all that were worried about what was going on in Europe. More so just trying to survive over here in America. So that's my answer to your question.
Okay.
And
so
yeah.
Okay. So thank you. All right, let me go into the chat. Okay, I think I'm gonna do this. Oh, what did I do? Okay, so the link is in the chat. It's right there. Okay, so anybody want to come on Come on. Come on. Okay, so America. So yes, Rue in the building. And Rue says, yes, I think Churchill's mom was from Michigan. Michigan, I think. Where we at? Nobody's asking you to care about what's happening in America, Pigeon Mike. That's the simple answer to that one. Okay, you're misrepresenting what he said. What he said was that over in America, they were dealing with some things from non-Nazis who are acting like Nazis. So effectively, he already had Nazis over there anyway, because that's the way they were acting somewhat. I think that's a response to that. Okay, there's a lot of comments. So, and first of all, let me just change that thing there. Let me just change the image on the screen because it seems a bit judgmental. Even though many people agree, and it may be indeed true. Let's try to remain. I'll try to keep the images kind of moving. Okay, so there's a lot of comments. I'm going to try and pick my way through these. Okay, so it's not Boxing Talk with Rafi. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio, joined by Troy from over there in the USA, Baltimore. Okay, so where are we? Let's pick our way through these. There's a hell of a lot of comments. Are you now going to show what he did during World War II? Well, I've dropped the link in there for you. We're talking about the crimes, but if you want to come up with the virtues, I know some people are coming up with the virtues, which is a good thing. If you want to come up with the virtues, the link is in the chat. It's right there. Okay, so we're giving you this Sunday night thing. Thought that, with what's been going on in the protests, it was appropriate to cover it. Okay, so let's even our president, your president over there in America, put Japanese Americans in camps during World War II. Yeah, that was over in Hawaii, I believe. Troy, Graham.
Raphael, let me answer a question in the chat. I believe you see it. Is it Pigeon? Somebody with the name Pigeon.
Carry on. Answer the question.
See it? Right. No. Okay. Carry he's on. Asking. Okay. He's asking me if I didn't care about Europe, why should he care about what's going on over here with blacks? Who asked? Right. Who asked you to? Yeah. I mean, it's a free country. You were given free will. You could do as you like, sir. I don't believe I asked anyone for anything. So okay. you're free to believe and feel as you like. But to say that that's a real petty response. I simply wasn't being petty. I wasn't being petty at all. I was being honest. When you're suffering already, you can't really focus on somebody else's suffering. That's not a petty response. That's the truth. And truth actually brings out the truth in other people. So there you have it.
GMB Catastrophe. Where did I see this name before? I think I've seen this name on Twitter. Or maybe it was in here last time. Okay, GMB Catastrophe says the empires were bankers' empires, just like the Americans are now. The bankers steal everything and then rip the empire apart. The empire. Marla says the UK had severe rationings in World War II. So I think that means that's why they stole the rice from the Indians. 4 million Indians died through the famine. So I think the connection there, if I'm not mistaken, is that the rice was stolen for the UK. Maybe that's what it is. If I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm wrong, let me know. I think that's what the inference is. The refresh says that this plump fellow was worse than Hitler. OMG. OMG. Again, many empires, says James Jameson, many countries had empires, not just the British. I think the British one, yeah, the British had a pretty sizable one though, didn't they? British had a pretty sizable one. I know that Belgium isn't known to be a brutal country, but they're extremely brutal when they're in the Congo. What's that king's name? Forget the king they had over there. It's got to be one of the wickedest men who ever walked the face of the earth. King Leopold? It's King Leopold. King Leopold of Belgium. OMG. Got to be one of the wickedest men who ever walked the face of the earth. The brutality he did in the Congo. It's got to be up there with Hitler. I don't know. I think more brutal though. It's Hitler. Hitler was a kind of hands off, just walk people into the chamber. Boom. This Leopold was having people's hands chopped off, feet chopped off, legs chopped. Oh, he was one brutal. Oh, King Leopold of Belgium. Oh my OMG. He's up there. And now people are saying Winston Churchill was almost not was up there with Hitler. Damn. You know, it kind of makes you wonder when you see the 4 million that died as a result of his actions in India, the hundreds of thousands that were put into concentration camps at his behest. This is before Hitler. Before Hitler had concentration camps, Winston Churchill was ahead of the game. Where we at? Yeah, and it's been happening since humans have been on this earth, and it's done by all races. All races. I think that various different races have engaged in this type of behavior for sure. And then you have gravities. You have gravity. You have a guy who kills one man, and then you have a guy who slews millions. You know, so weighting, gravity is a factor. Is gravity a factor? Are numbers a factor? Do the numbers count? If one man kills one man and another man kills millions, who's the bigger criminal there? Who's the bigger criminal there? That's some food for thought, is it not? I'm not offering an opinion, just throwing out a question.
All right, Raphael.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in here.
Carry on.
Okay, I'm seeing the comments in the chats. You can't take one wrong, you know, and try to justify somebody else's wrong, because a wrong is wrong. To say that, okay, he only killed 1 million, but over here he killed 4 million, over here he killed 5. Guess what? They're still killers and they're still wrong. So that's almost like you taking a filthy rag and you're trying to clean up your filthy kitchen. You can't clean dirt with dirt, and you can't justify a wrong with a wrong. And, you know, that's what I'm noticing in the chat room. You just can't do it. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. The refresh says, wow, Churchill. Yeah, it's a bit of an eye-opener. It is a bit of an eye-opener. I mean, I think to most people's shame, they haven't really researched the fella very much. Now, I will add that, you know, there was a land grab back then. But millions dying because of your land grab. Nah, I'm not down with that. I can't co-sign on that. Yeah, you fought the Nazis, and that was good. That was nice. What about all the other crap you did? It was nice of you to fight the Nazis. Yeah, that's great. That's excellent. That's marvelous. You know, didn't do it alone. I mean, the Americans the Americans lent a hand. You gotta say thanks to the Americans for lending a hand. You know, let's not act like this was a one-man thing. But the outside of that, outside of fighting the Nazis, yeah, it seems. When you see it for yourself, I don't even have to offer an opinion. I don't have to offer an opinion at all. Persons of color, yeah, well, he certainly did believe that the white race, the white man, was the superior race. Of that, there is no doubt. There was no doubt about that whatsoever. That was his feeling. Well, yet. Okay, there's some difference of opinion whether they had to go to war, whether Churchill had to go to war with Germany. Peace in our time. Which there will be peace in our time. Which prime minister said that? Which prime minister said that in the UK? There will be peace in our time. Damn, need to brush up on those, shake the dust off those history books. The Belgians had empires, the French empires, the Spanish. Yeah, they did. The Belgians, wow, particularly wicked under King Leopold. Got to be one of the wickedest men who ever trod the face of this earth. He's up there with Hitler. I think he was wickeder than Hitler. He was into mutilations, not just the killing, but the mutilations. Wicked and vile fella. And some people are saying Churchill's up there with Hitler. Damn. I never heard that said before in my life. It's crazy. It's crazy. What goes on here? It's a total policy failure when you get all of your guys killed and impoverish your country. We need to get our heads screwed on as to what constitutes failure and what constitutes success. 1943 was in the middle of the war. I think, if my understanding is correct, I think that is saying that they had to take the rice off the Indians because who the hell is Harshavardhan? I don't know who you are, my friend. I don't know who you are, Harshavardhan. I don't know. Who are you, Harsha? I've seen you last week, but I never see you in the chat. Who are you? Yeah, hi, but I don't know who you are, my friend. This is a sensitive topic. We can't have people coming in here going on absolutely bat-ish crazy. Harsha, hello.
Hey, Ralph, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, it's a sensitive topic, yeah.
Yeah. Are you an Indian fella?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we've never had an Indian on here before, so that's good. That shows the versatility we got. We got Asia, we got the Americas,
diversity, bro,
and we got Europe. That's what we call diversity. That's what we call diversity. This is a worldwide show. It's a worldwide worldwide panel, and you're Indian, and you're Indian. Yes. So you must have something to say about. Churchill.
Winston Churchill.
Yes.
I mean, history is history. You know, like it's up to you how you portray Winston Churchill. Some say that he defeated Germany. I don't know. It's hard to project a character. You know, like it's like winners write the story. How do you know the exact story? What happened at the end of the day? Eh?
Yes.
You've been talking about he with Hitler. Some say that he's a super guy for Britain when almost everything is lost. You never know the truth, bro.
Truth. Preach. I like that. History is written by the winners. 100%.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you an interesting example. Okay.
Run it.
You know Alexander, right? Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he invaded almost entire Europe, and he made his quest towards India. Okay.
Yeah.
History, according to what was written by Greeks, you know, from the Alexander side, the story goes like this.
Yeah.
He fought against the king. He won the battle. Then Alexander was looking to invade into the core of India from northern part. Then his army got fatigued. Then they were returning back home. Then he got ill suddenly. Then he was dead. Okay, now the potholes are this. Okay, his body was never found.
Mhm.
No one know the reason why. No one know what happened to his body. So an alternative history could be something like this. What if he lost the war badly? What if he got hurt? What if he was dead back to his kingdom? You never know.
Hmm.
And if he's such a big king, his history was never mentioned in Indian scriptures as if he's a big, like a big conquest.
Yeah.
If someone from Europe, back when Europeans don't know what an elephant looks like, that is during those times. He was never mentioned in any Indian history. So that's just an analogy. What I meant to say is winners write the history.
Yeah.
So just because someone wrote something, just because someone portrayed something, it is never true these days.
That last sentence again. That last sentence again.
Was that?
Say that last sentence again.
Just because someone wrote something,
Yeah.
just because something is right in the media doesn't mean that it is correct.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. So are you addressing the points which were made in the piece I showed?
What did you say? Oh, the picture?
Yeah. No, were you here from the beginning? Have you been here from the beginning? Or
No. I just saw the picture and I was kind of curious and I jumped on the podcast.
Okay. You mean the thumbnail or the picture that was showing? Okay, cool.
Yes.
I got you.
Those are all the Sikh people. Those are Sikh people.
Yeah.
Sikhs are a sects of Indian community.
Yes.
Those are known for their valiant warrior nature, and they're very much indebted into Indian army. In fact, they even fought for British back in World War II.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware of that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely aware. So are you saying to me that you don't believe that 4 million Indians died?
I would say more people would have died. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Because see, back in those days, statistics are not a big thing. Like, everyone was dead once the ruins were got back after the war. Like, they're everywhere. You never know the exact stats.
Okay.
Because when the war was over with the dead bodies and corpses, they started burying everywhere. How do you know the stats are not skewed?
Yes. Troy Graham's coming, I think. Troy Graham coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you? Why don't you pronounce your name for me so I can address you, please? Because I don't. Hello?
Harsha.
Me?
Harsha.
Yes. It's Harsha?
Harsha.
Yes, you got me. You got my attention, bro.
Okay, good, man. Much respect. I was listening to you. You gave a good account of your understanding of history and a lot of things. I'm interested in your opinion on the current subject that we're talking about. How do you feel as you said you're an Indian man. Are you from India, sir?
Yes, I'm originally from India, but I'm in Canada right now. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel right now about the topic that we're speaking on, and Churchill himself, and just it was some comments made also about Gandhi. So how do you feel about all that? Why don't you give your opinion on that for me, please?
Again, see, when you look at history as a whole, I would say more people are proud of what Britain as a whole achieved, conquering the world, establishing the civilization according to their perspective. But when you look at the colonies' perspective, like no one really likes British anymore. They looted people, they destroyed cultures, they waged wars. But on the positive side of things, they spread the civilization, they took the technology, they globalized the human civilization on a whole. So it's kind of hard to argue on a global scale. From the Churchill point of view, yeah, he's a war hero at the end of the day for British. But outside the British, no, he never got a popular name outside British anyway.
Time.
Thank you, sir.
Game. So we're getting a worldwide perspective. We got Asia. We got North America. We got Europe. And now we got a Wild Soul. But before you unmute yourself, Wild Soul, I I think everybody mute when you're not speaking, please. Everybody mute yourself when you're not speaking, please. Varshan, mute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Wild Soul, I think I'm not sure I think you've got your volume up because when you were unmuted, I was hearing some background noise. So I think you need to kill your volume or put some headphones in so we don't hear your volume, because when it feeds back, we hear it. So Wild Soul, when you're ready, unmute yourself. Until you unmute yourself, I know you're getting ready. So when you're ready, unmute. Okay. So until then, I'm gonna. Okay. Wild Soul's ready. Yeah. Good.
How you doing, fellas?
Wild
Everybody
Soul
on the
in
panel?
the building. How you doing, Wild Soul?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm just I had just listened in on the topic of the evening,
Yeah.
just to get a gist of what you was talking about.
Mm.
And it's kind of interesting. We was talking about King Leopold, right? I got a book called The Ghost of King Leopold.
Wicked man.
And basically he killed 10 to 15 million Africans. He
Wicked.
never even stepped foot in the Congo, which is crazy. He was never even there. But he totally exploited the country. And then I found out from watching TV shows how wicked that Winston Churchill was. Because all they teach us in school about Winston Churchill is World War II, where he appears to be a hero.
Yeah.
But you go into his background, because I watched a show called Peaky Blinders. You ever saw that show?
I never seen it, but I know what it's about. It's from this area. It's from where I live, the area where I live. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in that particular story, he appeared on a TV show, and he was part of a storyline. I forget what season, but they basically showed him as being a shady character, and that's when I really started to look into it. And then all of that stuff that you had up there on that video, I started to find out about that, and I'm like, wow, who knew Winston Churchill was so dirty like that? Who knew that? I didn't know. We don't know about these things. They don't teach you that. You got to find this stuff out on your own, basically.
You don't teach you that in schools. They don't teach you
because
that in
they only
school.
had the guy appearing to be a hero. That he helped America save the world from the wrath of Hitler. That's basically his story. That's what we mostly know about him. But all that other dirt that he was doing back in the day in Africa and India, oh man, I didn't know about that stuff until recently. So they want to take down his statue. Yeah, you got to get rid of these things, man. In America, we having that issue right now with Trump. Don't want to change the name of the military bases from, because a lot of them are named, about 12 of them are named after Confederate generals, or people who were prominent in the Confederacy during the Civil War. So, that's offensive to blacks, that whole Confederate flag that represents that era of slavery and everything like that. And they refuse to do that. But if you want to ease people, a little bit of tension, you got to make certain gestures that say, hey, it's time we get rid of this stuff and put it behind us. And when you see them not doing that, or somebody's objecting to it, that just tells you everything. They want you in that same state of mind that you're always going to feel away when you see this. You're going to be reminded of these things. And we are, and I guess it's the same thing in England. People feel a way about Churchill. You got a lot of East Indians over there, right?
East Indians or West Indians?
East Indians. You have both, but I'm saying like people from India.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We call them
The
East
big
Indians over
Indian
here.
diaspora. Yeah.
Right. Yes, you have a lot of people from there.
Yeah.
So, that's offensive to them to see a statue of Winston Churchill. If you know anything about the history.
Oh, yeah. Like as someone suggested, if you go into your history books, obviously must have been portrayed as a great hero. But outside of Britain, as I said, like he ain't a big guy. Like he's responsible for famine, so he killed so many people. No one would ever knew that. It's like the concept of school in itself. Every country have their leaders portrayed as something else, but outside of their country, they are not the same. It's
Like
not
George
just Churchill.
Washington.
There are several characters like Che Guevara. You look at Che Guevara. He was portrayed as a terrorist back in 60s and 70s in USA. He's never really a terrorist. He just fought for his people.
Yeah.
And that's what they do with history. Exactly
Yeah,
what they do.
history
They
is all
turn.
tweaked out. My thing is, if you see something in news, question it, because I don't know
Right.
if you guys have heard Zuckerberg's testimony in Congress. This is a question he was asked: if I were a political party and if I were to spread lies using Facebook ad generation, would you accept this? Here's what he said. I would definitely support it, but it's up to the people's discretion to decide whether it's a lie or a truth. Is it really possible? Is it really practical? It's crazy, but it is what it is. Like nothing is true anymore. You are going through history from 1940s, like even the current trends, nothing is true, and you don't know the truth anymore.
It's hard to prove. Hard to prove. But Wild Soul, are you still there, brother?
Yes.
Hello?
Oh, why?
No. Yeah.
Gotcha,
Wild Soul.
gotcha.
Wild
Where's
Soul.
Wild Soul?
I guess he's gone.
Oh,
No,
he's still
okay,
here.
there he is. Wild Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can hear you now. I was gonna
Okay,
ask you
good.
to
Hold on a second, everybody.
I was gonna.
Everybody, stop for a second, please. Everybody, stop for a second.
Right.
So, guys, make sure you got no background noise or you're not doing anything on tables because it comes through very loud.
Okay.
It comes through very loud. So it really imagine you're in a recording studio, and somebody's Aretha Franklin is about to sing. That's the kind of level of quiet that we aiming for over here. So anyway,
I can dig it.
Troy, Graham,
Right.
ask your question.
Right. I was gonna ask you to post the title of that book you spoke of. Put it in the chat room so I can go look it up later. All right.
No
And
problem.
also, right, you from New York, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Whereabouts, man?
The Bronx.
Yeah,
Boogie
me
Down
too.
Bronx. Boogie Down
Oh,
Bronx.
really? Where at?
Parkside area. Parkside area. Allerton Avenue, Barker, White Plains, and all that.
Uptown, right? Yeah, uptown.
Yeah, uptown.
Like
Yeah,
Little Jamaica.
man. Right. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, man. I hope you keep coming around to the show, man. I like your energy. I like your knowledge. So stick and stay with us, man, because we're growing.
But this is the first time. But this is the first time he's been on when you've been on, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard it? Yeah, it's the first time he's been on. Have you heard him before?
Nah, it's the first time I heard him. He sounds like a cross between DMX, and Jada Kiss.
Yeah. X gonna give it to you. Gonna give it to you. X gonna give
That
it.
was true, man. I found a way to make $1 million, man. That was true.
Nah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
brother.
back on topic.
Yes,
Back
sir.
on topic. Wow. So anybody got anything on their minds? Anybody got anything on their minds? Because I think we pretty much chewed that one up.
I mean, that was pretty thorough. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think you were pretty thorough. Carry on. Well, so
How do you feel about them wanting to remove these statues?
well, that's the next
slave
segment.
traders
That's the next segment. So I ain't gonna say nothing about that.
Gotcha.
I just want to add something.
Sorry.
I just want to add something about Gandhi.
Yeah, please.
Gandhi is the same kind of figure as in India. He's called father of the nation, but again, like it's just portrayed as a great guy, but he was assassinated. No one really highlighted the reason why he was assassinated. He was assassinated by a freedom fighter himself, because the freedom fighter was disappointed with Gandhi's decision to bifurcate Pakistan from India. Back then, no one knows what would be the ramifications of the effects of what's going to happen with Pakistan. But down the line after 2020, we already had like 3 wars and we are in constant fighting range with Pakistan every day. So it's good and bad with everything. It's about how you see, what's your perspective, what's your idealization. It depends on so many things to evaluate a character. For some, he's good. From him, he's the worst guy. So it's up to you to decide.
Yes. It boils down to perspective. Boils down to a matter of perspective. I'm going to get through a few of these comments now. Says dividing people over a statue is not going to help anyone at the moment. It's only going to it's only going to it's only going to make things worse. We should all be we everybody mute yourself if you're not speaking, please. Okay, so it's only going to divide people. We should be united. I agree. So there's kind of like 3 sections. That was 1 section we kind of did. There's another 2 sections. They're not going to be as long as the first section, but yeah, it's 3 sections. It's a 3-section. It's a 3-part piece. It's a 3-part piece. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I've got an next interesting piece coming up in the, I think the final section. Is that going to be yeah, that's going to be the final section. It's an interesting piece about togetherness, division. If that's true, so what? We should have fought under better rules. You throw a bomb on a 4-year-old girl, that's a bomb. You don't have to protect your man in the field. That was GMB catastrophe. Marla says heavy bombers were not an effective battlefield weapon. They created too many craters and stopped movement on the ground forces. I don't know if that's saying that's why you had to drop them on civilians. I don't know if that's yeah, I don't know if you're saying that's why they had to drop them on civilians, Marla. If you could clear that up, please. What's this? Leave the statues up. Let there be discussion about the person to educate further generations. I said I wasn't gonna say anything about the statues right now, and I better bite my tongue. I do have an opinion. I better bite my tongue. What's this here? I'll give it then. What about the people that respect those statues? Why tear down your history? Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I never really thought there was admiration for those. Anyway, that's the next piece. Churchill did a lot of bad, but ultimately he stood up to the Nazis when no one else would. It's very easy for people to sit back in the UK now and judge. Well, you made an interesting point earlier on, Marla, when you said that if it wasn't for Churchill, a lot of the people in the UK wouldn't even be there now. And you are right, because yeah, he went over to Africa, and wherever he landed, he tried to section off, and was successful in largely successful in sectioning off the best lands, the best places, the best parts of the land, and giving those to the invaders, the colonialists. He said, this is good land, this is the white man's land. That was his philosophy. So yeah, if he didn't interfere, if he didn't cause famine, if he didn't have concentration camps, then yeah, I'm sure those countries would have been better off without him. And yeah, maybe more people would be in their homelands, but then maybe he would be in his original homeland. Where was that? Maybe somewhere up in Scandinavia. I don't know. Maybe did he come from the Germanic races over there? Where did he originally come from? Where did you originally come from? You know what I mean? Okay, so they tried accurate bombing on military targets, and it wasn't possible. So they resorted to carpet bombing civilians. That ain't good. That ain't good at all. Anyway, slice it up. Bombing civilians is taking resources away from the war effort. It's genocide, independent of strategic goals. There's some weak Wi-Fi going on around here. There's only 2 men standing, and that's me and Wild Soul. Oh, Troy Graham's popped back in. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of that. So yeah, we're gonna have to have a vote on this. We're gonna have to have a vote on the panel and on what do you call this, in the discussion, and everybody listening, everybody in the chat. Okay, so we're gonna have to have a vote on this. I don't know, how would I word this vote? Churchill, good, bad, or both? So that's the question for you in the chat, and I'm going to go around the panel. In a second. but I want some answers from the chat. And the question, let me write the question in. Let me do this damn professionally. Let's write it in. Churchill. Good, bad, or both? Let's highlight that. Let's put a question mark on that. Okay, let's go around the table. Troy, Graham, Churchill. Good, bad, or both?
It's a point of view, but it was bad. If you have to do that much murdering and conquering to accomplish anything, there's too much suffering attached to his name. So how good could it be?
So what's your vote?
Bad. Bad.
Okay, that's bad. That's bad. Wild Soul.
Say big thumbs down.
Oh my gosh. OMG. And so it's going to come down to me. Churchill, good, bad, or both? Question mark. And so it comes down to me. Churchill, good, bad, or both? I'm afraid to say the bad he did around the world, the destruction he caused around the world, the colonialism he caused around the world. Did he have to do that? I don't know. I don't think so. Churchill, he did great with the Nazis, apparently, although I'm going to have to research that some more. But yeah, I had no scale. I had no idea of the scale of the wickedness of the man. Churchill was a very wicked man. However, he did stand up to the Nazis, so that's good. Does standing up to the Nazis outweigh the evil that he did? Does standing up to a Churchill outweigh the evil that he did? I'm going to say he's good and bad. He's good with the Nazis, but wicked with the evil that he did around the world. He took people's lands and gave them the poor. He took people off their lands, gave them the poorer areas, segregated them. Segregation. Yeah, he's a big segregationist, and took the white colonialists, gave them the best lands. So I can't jive with that. I can't jive with that. It killed millions of Indians by starving them of their own crop. I can't jive with that either. Yeah. Big colonialists around the world, around the African world. No. Can't jive with it. Did great stuff with the Nazis, bad everywhere else. So, yeah, I can't jive with that, man. I can't jive with that. He was a bad man. Hero in the Nazi thing, bad everywhere else. So it seems. I can only speak about what I know so far. Maybe I'm gonna have to research the good he did. But right about now, it ain't looking good for Churchill. It ain't looking good for Churchill. I think Wild Soul wants to say something.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's enough said. You made a great case for that. Great case that this guy is terrible. But like I said, it was kind of, I just found out about it myself in the last couple of years, how bad he was. And that just happened by happenstance by watching the television show. And they had made remarks about him being a bad guy. So
yeah.
That's when I looked into it, and the record shows that's who he was. And he killed all those people. He's no different from Hitler. They're the same type of individual. Yeah. They both was white supremacists, and they both was murderers. What else can you say about that?
Yeah.
Either way, if we come across them at those times, they probably kill us too. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
They didn't really, that's how I look at it. Anybody who would kill me or anybody that I know and love is not a good person. And he don't seem to have any, remorse for this stuff. It's like just, Yeah, the way he thinks about people, you know,
Hmm.
some of the remarks that he's made, it's like,
Who we
he
talking
doesn't
about?
value
Who
anybody.
we talking about?
Winston Churchill.
Okay, yeah. An interesting question was asked of me. James Jameson said, if Hitler had won and taken the UK, where would you be, Raf? It's pretty damn obvious where I'd be. I'd be in Jamaica. My parents wouldn't have come here. My parents wouldn't have come here. It ain't hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. My parents wouldn't have come here. Is that simple?
Mathematics.
Is that simple? It really is simple. It really is simple. We're gonna move off this topic now. I think we've done it. I think a lot of people are saying thumbs down to Churchill. Generally, anyone involved in the upper levels of power in an empire will be bad. Yeah, I can dig that. Rule 504 says the Soviets were hiding a failing infrastructure and trying to mute yourselves if you're not talking, folks. The Soviets.
Yeah, I was going to make one more comment.
No, that's fine. The Soviets were hiding a failing infrastructure and trying to spend accelerated their collapse. Okay, I get you. Trying to spend with us accelerated their collapse. Yeah, they were in a financial quagmire. I do remember that from history. That they just couldn't. They were in a financial. Because I remember their currency was so devalued at one point that they had to fill wheelbarrows to get menial household stuff. That was how devalued the German, was it the Deutschmark? But was it back then? The Deutschmark. Troy Graham, you want to say something? Come on in.
Yes, sir. You mentioned, and I guess you were following up on what somebody else said in the chat about what he did with the Nazis. This is Churchill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is my point of view, right?
Yeah.
If you have, let's say you take two hungry dogs, one's a pit, one's a Rottweiler, you throw them in a pit, they're fighting.
Yeah.
And you're tied up over there, and somebody decided to wrap you up with meat, right? So whoever wins out of the Rottweiler or the pit is going to tear you apart. So basically, when you have evil versus evil, nobody wins. Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my feelings on that.
Yeah. I hear you. Some of the middle. I got to get off this topic now because or else we can't get to the other topics. Some of the middle management of the empire were actually good guys, but the upper level guys upper level goals were always wicked and seemed to have usually been financier motivated. Yeah, well, taking the best lands in Kenya, for those who don't know, is a beautiful pastoral land. Apparently, it's breathtaking. I've never been there, but I mean, there's this narrative about Africa that it's ugly, it's nasty, it's this, it's that. You get some of the most beautiful sights, some of the most beautiful vistas in Africa, believe it or not, or else the Europeans wouldn't have gone there. You know what I mean? If there was nothing there, Europeans wouldn't have gone there. And when I say the Europeans, I don't mean all Europeans. I'm talking about the decisions made by the 1%ers. The 1%ers make the decision about what's going to be good for the 1%, and then they package that and they sell it to the masses, and the masses cheer when they send their working class boys into war. But really, when you send your working class boys into war, you're really sending them to make acquisitions for the 1%ers. Let that sink in. Where are we? So Churchill helped create a world where your family could come to the UK. So good? No, that's not good. No, that's not good. He went into places and he vandalized them. He looted them and he killed the people. So just because Rafi is sitting over here in the UK, all those murders, all those millions in all those people, hundreds and thousands, if not millions, who went through his Churchill's concentration camps just so Rafi could sit here. That's not a good enough reason, my friend. That's not a good enough reason, my friend. To build an empire, you have to take from other people. That's why every empire in history has a bad record. Yes. Yes. Okay, so Africa is now the jewel of the planet. Yeah, it gets downgraded. Oh, it's nothing there. In the meantime, it still gets plundered. How did it work out for Zimbabwe when the Brits left? Well, firstly, the Brits shouldn't have been there anyway. The Brits set up a system which was good for the Brits. Yeah, and so when they left, after how many decades? After how many decades? Of course, there were issues to be dealt with. And at first, Mugabe appeared to be doing a good job, but then I think greed kicked in, and then he didn't. Mala comes with GMB. The Chinese are colonizing the jewel as we speak. Well, the Chinese are trying to colonize. The Chinese are trying to colonize everywhere, Mala. If you don't know, they've made some inroads into India. They've taken over some land in India, some coastal land in India. So the Chinese are doing their thing. The Chinese are doing their thing. They might take over New Zealand. They might colonize New Zealand, Mala. So, you know, let's not take it too lightly. Might be taking over New Zealand shortly. Hey, be aware. Okay, so we've chopped up that. Does anybody want to say anything before I move into the next? Everything's related. It's not changing topic or subject. It's related, but it's moved on. Does anybody want to say anything else before I move on? Speak now or hold your peace. Let me try and line this up. Wild Soul.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just agreeing with what Troy said. It's like, you know, these are two, it was about, 3 empires in NATO that went to war for world domination, pretty much. The U.S. came out on top with that when they dropped those nukes on Japan. So that's what they was fighting for, the control of the planet.
Yep.
This is why America is the superpower, the only standing one, but China is sneaking, creeping in there. They make a move to become a superpower right now. So
hell yeah. Okay. So was that Troy? That was here. Was that Troy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Troy's still here.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. No, I'm just waiting to move on to the next subject, man. I have an opinion on that, on the statutes and all that.
Okay, and so we do that as we speak. Just want to line up this statue thing. I've got it here. Is that it? Oh, I see. I know what I have to do now. I was dreading this part because I've got multiple different clips, and I got to do a bit of juggling. I got to do a little bit of juggling. This is like the old days. You turntable to turntable. You got to be focused. You got to be on it. But it's okay. I am on it. I just gotta juggle. I'm working with 2 decks now. It's like I need 2 decks, and I'm working with 1 deck. And I've got to make it work, but I know how to make it work. And okay. I think I got this. Rafi got it. Kill the volume on that. How long does that last? Okay, we're gonna have to put that baby on a loop. As a matter of fact, rat-tat-tat-tat. Let's do this now. Let's put this loop on. Put the loop on. And here we get some volume on that so you can hear that, then change the. So which one am I going to go with? Which visuals? Damn it. I'm going to go with both visuals. This is tricky. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to share my screen and bounce. I'm going to share my screen and bounce betwixt the two. Share the screen. It's not as tidy as entire screen. Yeah, entire screen. Go on then. Share. Oh, that's share. Entire screen. Share. You don't like it. Okay. All right. Okay. Boom. Okay. So let's get this like this. Okay. So nothing still changed with my screen, but it'll change about 10-second delay. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. See now.
For many in Bristol, this was a welcome sight.
Boom. Let me just get the volume up. Okay, let me just play this. You'll get the visuals. Let me go long screen. Is that good? Okay. I'm going long screen over here too. All right, we're good. Okay, let's go.
The controversial statue of slave trader Edward Colston torn down during a Black Lives Matter protest. The presence of the statue has divided opinion in the city for years. But who was Edward Colston? Born in 1636, Colston grew up in Bristol before moving to London to work for the Royal African Company, or the RAC. The RAC traded commodities such as gold, silver, and slaves. It's estimated that when Colston held a senior position, he helped transport 84,000 African men, women, and children to work for the senior position. He helped slaves, such as gold. The RAC traded commodities such as gold, silver, and slaves. It's estimated that when Colston held a senior position, he helped transport 84,000 African men, women, and children to work as laborers on tobacco and sugar plantations, with 19,000 of them dying on their journeys. Colston is commemorated heavily in his home city. His statue stood on a street named after him, in front of a tower named after him, behind which is a concert hall also named after him. City activists have petitioned to have the statue removed for years, but opinions are divided over what happened.
Shouldn't have been done in that way. Completely wrong to pull a statue down like that. But stepping back, that statue should have been brought down a long time, should have been taken down a long, long time ago. You can't in 21st century Britain have, a slaver on a statue. A statue is there to honour people. And you can't have that in 21st century Britain. That statue should have been brought down properly with consent and put, I would say, in a museum.
Well, I think that is utterly disgraceful, and that's...
Okay, so boom, boom, boom. There you have it. There you have it. Let me stop sharing my screen. Stop sharing that. Oh, damn. Troy Graham's in the background. And let me share. Just share the images. Let me just share the images. Okay. So, Wild Soul, you're here. You want to talk on what you just seen?
Yeah, I agree with it. I don't know about dumping it in the river, but but I agree with taking those statues down because it's offensive to people. And stuff like that, people want to preserve it for history's sake. You put it in the museum.
Yeah,
that's what museums are for.
Yes.
They don't need to be out for everybody. I mean, that's just a constant reminder of a very terrible past.
Mm-hmm.
And we can learn about it and everything like that, but nobody really needs to have to. That's offensive to people. You're walking down the street, you see that every day. You're like, who is that? Imagine bringing a child of mine to England, and you see the statue, and they ask me, hey, who's that, Daddy? I have to explain who this guy is.
Mm-hmm. We have statues in America, though.
Yeah, we do, but they're taking a lot of them down. The Confederate statues mainly.
Yeah.
But I say, like, even statues of George Washington, he was, a slave owner. He owned 127 slaves or something like that.
Is that Washington?
George Washington.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay. And I know that Jefferson has got George Washington's got a big family derived from slaves.
Yes. And a few of them do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a few of them. is
Yeah.
a lot of the founding fathers were slave owners. I know Ben Franklin wasn't, but most of them were. That's how they acquired all the wealth, and that's how they was able to fight the British. That's how they was able to go to war with the British.
Indeed, indeed. They finance their quests.
Through slavery.
Indeed, indeed. James Jameson said Colson helped build Bristol. Yes, he did. And I respond of Africans' blood. Yeah,
Yep.
you can build a city without Africans' blood, or anybody's blood for that matter. So building a city,
Exactly.
yeah, that's all good. That's all good. Of people's blood, nah, nah. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Yeah, Troy, do you want to say something? Do you want to? Oh, anyway,
Yes, sir. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Can you? Okay, good. Well, yeah, the tearing down of the statues is nothing new. When Bush was fighting his war against mass destruction and he went to Iraq, it was a three-step program. The first thing he did was tear down the statues. Second thing he did was burn all their history books. And the last thing he did was salt the earth. It's a step. You tear down the statues just so they have, what you're doing is you're destroying their heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by burning the history books, you plan on reshaping their minds and giving them a new history. And by salting the earth, you're saying that anything that might have been left behind by the people that you were, we're going to kill that off too, because we don't want that to fester into your soul and grow, so we'll have any trouble with you. So tearing down the statues is only a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so James Jameson, the UK was the first country in the world to find slavery wrong, the first people to find it morally wrong. But you just said that he built Bristol off the money. So which is it? Is morally wrong, or he built Bristol off it? Which is it? Which is it? Slaves were bought from other black people, not exclusively. Not exclusively. At first, there were raids. There were raids in there to steal people, but then they found it kind of difficult getting through the forests. So to make it easier, then they set up trades with subterfuge. Yeah, we trade you this, we trade you that. Oh yeah, throw in some of your enemies. Throw in some of your enemies. Okay, so now they have the people finding people, yeah, and bringing them in. Yeah, bring us some more. In the meantime, King Leopold was a great example of that. In the meantime, they're working to they just want the most people they can get. They just want the most people that can get slaves to use as slaves. People, not slaves, people to use as slaves. Was there some level of cooperation by some greedy traders on the African side? Of course there was. But to say that the method of obtaining people to use a slave was merely through these traders is utterly not the case. There were many various ways of getting people to use as slaves. That was what you mentioned is one method used, of course. Yeah, carry on.
No, Ralph, before you move, I have to jump in here and
carry on
and say something to James about that black people and slavery. He obviously has no idea of tribal warfare. How it works is when one tribe beats another tribe, they kill off the strongest warriors, but they keep their women to breed with them. And whoever is left, you become a part of the tribe as workers. So you have to work. Now, when these people came from Europe, what they did was they took the workers that came from the other tribes and they traded. It was just a form of trade. It had nothing to do with slavery. It's tribal warfare. Because, see, they weren't slaves in the tribe. They were workers. It was the Europeans who made them slaves. So stop with that nonsense. Cut it out and learn. Go before you type anything or say anything. You all should really look up stuff and read on it. Stop saying that black people sold black people.
Exactly.
We didn't sell anybody. It's called tribal warfare. It's just the way that things work. That's it.
Hey,
and
Chuck
also,
D said it best.
Yeah, carry on.
He explained it best. the king and the chief had beef. That's how we ended up here. Some of us, anyway.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was different methods that they acquired Africans and enslaved Africans. Africans was enslaved, they wasn't slaves. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like when people say that. Like we're slaves. No, we're enslaved.
People.
Right. Forced to be slaves.
Yeah. Forced in slavery, not slaves, people.
And what happened is they when they go to war, they'll capture the prisoners of war. Like Troy said, they'll make them work for them, stuff like that. But it was a whole different level of slavery, if that's what you want to call what the Africans was doing. It wasn't the same thing.
Was no way
happened in America and the Caribbeans. It was totally different level of slavery. I mean, it was like the worst kind. Period.
Yeah.
You know?
The Europeans and when the Europeans came, then things took a turn for the worse.
Right. They took your name, religion, everything from you.
Yeah. It's like if you took the names, the language, the religion. Yeah. Yep. So if you look at what's happening, the kind of stuff that's happening now with people, women, who are being sold into sex slavery, for example.
Right.
They go to poor villages all over the world, Romania, Ukraine, a lot of those Eastern Bloc places that aren't too prosperous, and they say, come with us. You know, we got some work lined up for you. You can be a model, you can be a this, that, the other, but it's into slavery. And so the traders, on the African side, it is said that they had no idea about the wickedness and the barbarity. I don't know. That's what they say, that they were selling people in for. But, it hasn't worked out too well for them, because what graphs can show and what land maps can show is the decimation that the Africans suffered as a result of exporting people, collaborating with the wicked colonialists, it caused devastation in Africa. So, that was not a good scene for them at all. Not a good scene. The slave trade to Americas was actually dominated by people of rabbinical persuasion, Jews. It was actually dominated. I don't know if it was dominated. I don't know if it was dominated. No. It was WASPs. It was WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon. What's the S stand for?
You can tell by the names black people had.
Yeah. It was WASPs. WASP, white Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah.
White Anglo-Saxon. So I'd have to disagree with you there. GMB catastrophe. I disagree with you on that point. James, yes, this whole worldwide movement, the underpinning of it is socialism. The Black Lives Matter slogan is a smokescreen. The white left wingers have their own agenda. Smokescreen. Black Lives Matter is a smokescreen for what? Black Lives Matter is a smokescreen for what? Georgie Porgy up in the building. Makeup, high heels, makeup, wig wearing so-called founding fathers. Yeah, they need to powder their wigs. Where are we? Don't forget the super chat button is there for those enjoying the debate, the discussion, and the link is in the chat. This is part 2, and the question is, do you agree with the pulling? Well, let me get through some of these comments first. Anybody wants to jump in, go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, I definitely want to jump in.
Go ahead.
I forgot whose comment you just read about the Jews and slavery. I forgot, but
don't matter. Carry on.
Someone's gonna bring up the fact that Irish were slaves. Go talk to any Irish or so-called Jew right now. Ask them who their great-grandfather is. Ask them where they came from. They can answer every one of your questions. They can even go back further than that. The difference is Black people don't know where they're from. They don't know their history. And some of them don't know anything past their grandmother or great-grandfather if they're so blessed to know that much. And who's to say that we're black in the first place? Who actually gave us that name? We don't know nothing about ourselves. We really and truly don't. So stop comparing the two because, yeah, okay, we were slaves and raped of all that we were. You told us this is what you are. So stop comparing the two.
That's
Stop
right.
it. It's a whole different level.
It's not the
Okay,
same.
it wasn't your children, right? Because it was babies. I'm talking about babies that were a few hours old.
Yeah.
They were put into cages, taken out to ponds and used as gator bait. That's where the term comes from.
Yeah.
That is an absolute fact.
No, it's not an
That's
absolute
a fact.
No, it's not a fact. It's disputed.
Yes, it is.
It might be a fact, but it is
You can dispute it. Okay. Well, it's a disputed fact.
But there is discussion
But all
that
right.
was actually true. I mean, I've researched the topic, and it comes out as there's stories for it and against it. But yeah, there is a story for it. Yes, there is. What's the topic about? The topic is, where is the topic? I thought I had a topic right there. Where is it? It's the banner. It's the banner. Statue toppling, anti-protesters, and Winston Churchill. London 2020. So you know what we're talking about. You know what it is. We're still going down. The traded, the workers. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Where was I? Yeah, okay. Shola Ibolfin up in the building. Great stimulating chat. Peace to Raf and the crew and the chat. Yes. Sola Ebola up in the area. By the way, I'm not defending slavery. Says James Jameson. Yep, I know history too. They traded the workers for their gain. They traded the workers for their gain. Yes, they did. No man should own another man. Don't care. But people shouldn't be ripping down statues and smashing up shops. I believe black people were already in America. Yeah, me too. There is evidence to suggest that black people were over in America before Christopher Columbus. So, you know, that's another myth about Christopher Columbus being the first. There's ample evidence of Africans being in America before the European.
Columbus. There's
before
a book.
And the
Before
European.
Columbus.
Yeah. There's
Ivan von Sertima, if I'm not mistaken. Ivan von Sertima wrote a book before Columbus, and that book is all about Africans being in Americas, you know, way before Columbus or anybody else.
Yes.
They were the first explorers to come to the Americas.
Yes, there is evidence to suggest that. Most certainly there is. Yes, Georgie Porgy, I hear you. I see you. I can't blame the people for taking his statue down, but the British people will never allow Churchill's statue to be taken down. It's never going to happen. We should tackle the more important problems. Slavery is alive today. Yes. Different type of slavery. There ain't no people being shackled up in boats, taking on 2-month, 3-month voyages. At least 20% dying before they reach the destination. Thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know what the full figure is. Marla says it's still happening all over the world. Not the same way. Not the same type of slavery. People are still in bondage, though. Yes, but yeah, it's a different way. Lies on top of lies in the so-called history books. 100%. Libya right now, correct. Libya right now, yes.
Yep.
The problem with a lot of people here in the UK is they don't read books. They're most misinformed, and they don't know about their own history. 100%. The Equalizer says, who's the Equalizer? The Equalizer says Black Lives Matter owned by a white guy. That's crazy. Don't even know our movement. That's crazy. Who owns? What do you mean? A white guy owns Black Lives Matter? Who's that white guy? Who is that white guy? Where's that allegation come from? Where's the allegation come from?
Soros, George Soros. People are claiming that he funded it. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's pretty much a mantra. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to let the world know that Black Lives Matter. In America, you know, you had that discussion the other day about the murders and everything that got us to this point where people are taking down statues. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Black Lives Matter is a relevant mantra right now. That, you know, it don't matter who came up with it, who financed it. It took on a life of its own. The women that created it, they have their own different organizations now. Yeah, they say George Soros funded it, whatever. Now the world is hearing that and agreeing with it, and that's all that really matters. That's the way I look at it. At least that's the way it appears right now.
Yeah.
And people get it. You know, some people get it. You know. So that's all that's about.
The white left wingers are using Black Lives Matters as a smokescreen for their agenda. They say they're all about Freud. Well, I mean, you know, people use things. People use other people's thing, platform, and try to benefit themselves. That's not a new concept. Just because some white left wingers trying to get in on the action or whatever, it don't mean you abandon the thing. People will be that's a common known tactic throughout history. You get in, you buy in, firms buy in, companies sponsor the government, give them aid, give them a certain amount of money per year. That's a common thing. That's not unusual. It don't mean that you abandon the whole thing. But of course you can recognize something.
Right. I wanted to jump in here if you don't mind.
For Columbus, Ivan, I don't know what that means. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. Whoever said that it was Black Lives Matters was started or funded by a white man. So what? So is you know. So is the NAACP.
Right.
Yeah. It was. That's why. That's why Marcus Garvey didn't want no parts of it. He said it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to black people, right? And he wanted it, but it served its purpose. Bob Marley's father was white. Malcolm X's grandfather was white. It doesn't matter. Even Roots and Malcolm X were not done by Alex Haley. It was done by a white boy. All he did was he might have done the interview, Alex Haley, but he didn't write the book. He didn't write Roots either. White boy. Okay, so none of that matters. What matters is the purpose behind it. It's not the funding behind it. It's the purpose, because you could be funded by the devil himself if you take that and do something good with it. So I don't want to hear that.
Well, you got to play chess, man. There's a chess game people are playing.
Yeah.
So you know you gotta make moves that benefit you.
Of course.
Right. Because if you take the word evil and you flip it around, it spells live, right? So all of us have to live with evil, right? I don't want to hear that nonsense. I don't want to hear tell me the purpose of it right now. Tell me the purpose of it right now, and you know how it's going. I could find out myself who's actually behind it.
And there's no white guy out
because
there giving... Oh, I'm sorry, Troy. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, because I was gonna say, you know, you take one person's tyrant, and you know that person could be a hero. He was the brother in Cuba who actually ran Cuba before he died. That was Castro, right? Yeah. Castro is viewed as a tyrant over here in this country. You go to South Africa and ask them about Castro. He's their hero because he brought soldiers over there to help free the South Africans. This country
he's
over
a hero
here
with a lot of African Americans too. You know, because he let African American political people who were politically persecuted, the Black Panther Party, they had a couple of other Latin movements that was in America. Yeah, they was able to flee
Tupac's aunties
from the
over
American
there.
Government and seek asylum and everything. They did he helped out a lot of people. But yeah, there's always that part that he's pretty much, a dictator. But a lot of those things have to do, the position that he was in was because he was trying to stop, imperialism. That was the goal. Him and Che Guevara, that was their goal, to stop it all over the world. That's why he went and helped out Angola when the South Africans try to move in. He helped them out. So yeah, you're right. Some people may seem, not the best to others, but he benefited a lot of people of color, some of the stuff that he did. So I can't be mad at the guy. That's my personal opinion on Castro. I don't know everything that goes on within the government, but going up against America, you got to be very cunning, and that's who he was. A very cunning individual.
So, GMB Catastrophe says, check Professor Tony Martin on the Jewish role in the slave trade. Okay, so earlier on, that point was made that, but the comment was more along the line that the Jews ran the slave trade. No, they didn't. They didn't
run it.
Yeah, they were involved in it. They're involved in it. Obviously, them being financiers, sure, they put up some money for it when they saw that it was a profitable, extremely profitable endeavor. But to say they run it, no. Were they involved? Absolutely. Okay, well, Saul, just mute yourself when you're not talking, my friend. Thank you.
Sorry, brother.
I can hear a little bit of disturb, a little bit of that's cool. Okay, so what does this say? Vikings landed in America nearly 1,000 years before Columbus. Boom, boom, boom. And what are we here? Uh-oh. George 4G.
I'm sorry, man.
Little bit
Vikings.
George 4G just breaking it off there. I'm proud of British history. Well, there you go. Some people are very proud of British history. Some people find it disgusting. That's just the way it goes. Sorrows is true. Sorrows is true. Sorrows does invest in a lot of things. Absolutely. Where are we? A lot of comments. Don't forget about the comment. Don't forget about the like button. Don't forget about the subscribe button. Don't forget about the super chat button. Don't forget about the PayPal button. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Troy Graham.
Yeah, Raphael, let me echo what you just said. Make sure you share and you subscribe and you super chat and all that. But let me tell you about the Vikings. They didn't even have their own language, math. They couldn't read, and they didn't even know how to clean their backside. So sure, they came over here, but who taught them how to be actual civilized people? Think about that, because they were savages.
Savagery. There is
who actually taught them math, science?
There is documentary evidence that there was savage behavior, and that's not far too hard to understand. There was savage behavior, but with the invention of the gun, that was a game changer. You could. I'm sure they tried lots of things, lots of times, but when the gun came around, when they had the guns, when the colonialists had the guns and others people did not, that was a game changer.
Right.
And I think guns and cannons, guns and bombs.
Yeah, there you go.
They're going against people with spears, bows and arrows and spears.
Yeah, that was a game changer. Don't forget that. Okay, so from the steam engine, the telephone to penicillin, thanks to Britain, wasn't it? I think it was Marconi. It was Marconi who invented the telephone. The steam engine, yes. Penicillin, yes. Penicillin, wasn't that a French guy? But either way, yeah. And all of that stuff all of that stuff was funded by colonialism.
If I was British, I would be proud of their history too, because they are the kings of conquerors. They
There you
come
go.
in and they had a great navy, and they conquered anything and anyone they wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyone. No
Yeah.
one would stand.
America's a British
No one would
product.
stand up to them. Exactly. And that is as far as this country, they're the grandfather of terrorism.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there
I
you
mean,
have it.
America still pretty much learned a lot of stuff from Britain. I mean, it was British guys who were the founding fathers to begin with. The guys originally came from Britain, and it's still a connection there because when my niece, she graduated from law school last year. The year before that, they sent her to England to do an internship, and that was in the courts. She was in the courts, and that was part of the law internship. So it's like all of these lawyers have to study the basis of the English law. That's where America gets it from. All of
Yeah.
that stuff comes from England.
Yeah.
And that's when I found that out. I was like, "Oh, you're doing an internship over there?" She was like, "Yeah, this is where the laws that America follows comes from there. Everything that happens to be in the judicial system is basically built from what they learned from Britain, what they brought from Britain, rather."
Yeah, totally.
So it's still a connection there. That's why America and Britain work their stuff out. This is why they still allies, because they connected. Period. This is America. Britain is the father and mother of America. Put it that way. So we're British. America's a British product, man.
Yeah.
And right out of there, and that's the bottom line with that. I mean, that's how connected we are. It's almost a lot of the stuff is the same.
Yes, indeed. So Thatcher,
we just spiced up your language a little bit.
Just spiced it up a little bit, just added a little twang to it. Thatcher harbored many known, I don't even want to say that word. In her party, but many people still talk highly of her. Yeah, that's a fact. There's a lot of those types of people in the higher echelon of society, and they managed to. It's a gang over there. You want to find out about that? Go check out Sean Atwood. Go check out Sean Atwood's channel. Tell him Rafi sent you. Tell him Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio sent you, and you'll find he does great exposés. Talks to people who've done exposés on that area of life in high society. High society. That's not a good term. In the certain areas of the upper echelon, some of those guys and gals feel that they're above everything because they're in the 1% or the 2% or the 5%ers, not 5% Muslims. I mean 5% in terms of income category, and they feel that anything they want, they should be able to have, and if that means underage people, then so be it. But certainly, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a real thing. Go check out Sean Atwood. Channel covers it very, very well. Where we at now? We're coming up to the last topic, and it's going to be a short one. Where are we? Castro brought justice in Cuba. Well, he certainly made things more equal. That's for sure. What happened to El Jefe? Haven't heard from. No, he's still around. The gun. It's not an equalizer. It's the firearm, the firepower. If you got bigger firepower, then it takes you above. It helps you fight above your weight. Okay, so BLM is based on American cops terrorizing the citizenry. Where are we? Well, if gunpowder and guns were invented in the Far East, why didn't they dominate the world? Was it invented in the Far East? I think that gunpowder, wasn't it Guy Fawkes? Wasn't Guy Fawkes have something to do with gunpowder? They tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. Was it really developed in the Far East? I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's what they say. Gunpowder was created in China, and they use it for
yeah, that
fireworks.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That's right.
They
That's
use it for fireworks.
I've heard that. That's right. Yeah, because they're big on the fireworks. Yeah. So yeah. I remember they taught us about that a long time ago in school. Yeah, Castro made it more equal. No more equal. No one had anything. Okay, I think there's a double entendre there. Where are we now? I'm proud to be English, but not for colonialism. If you study the history before 1000 AD, a lot of crazy stuff happened. Interesting stuff. The founding fathers were Protestant. More equal. Yes, everyone became dirt poor. Okay. Everyone became dirt poor. Okay. You want some rich cats. Floating around. Okay. The day of the week we are still named after Nordic gods. Interesting. Chinese invented gunpowder. So what does that say? So that's where the founding fathers got their ideas from. Got their ideas from what? The founding fathers got their ideas from what? Who stopped Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great from dominating the world? Who stopped them? Yeah, you tell me. Who stopped them? We're coming up to the last. I don't know. It's 2 hours. I like to kill it off at 2 hours. But I don't know. We got a little one we got a last little segment to go. Castro's son now has the top job in Canada. This shows how much the oligarchy is just laughing at us, controlling us, manipulating us. But they often use valid complaints to do so. I don't know, man. It's late. I had one element, but you know what? 2 elements were good enough. I don't want to go too long. It's 2 hours. It's the 2 hour mark. It's late over here in the UK. I thought I'd be able to bang this out, but you know what? I think it's complete in itself. Just as it was the other element, the extra element. I think I'll drop that on you another time. But this, to be honest, this was a complete piece. I'm happy with the piece. I'm happy with the contributors on the panel and some interesting observations coming from the chat. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy. I don't want to go too long. 2 hours is nice and tight. Somebody can see this tomorrow and say 2 hours. That's not too bad. I can watch it from beginning to end. Don't like to go too long and then you have to think about it. Damn, and have to watch it in installments. Maybe you can watch 1 hour after you come back from your jog or whatever it is that you do. Then, yeah, you can watch the second one. But I don't like to go too long. I like to keep them short, tight, and precise. So what we're saying here, melanated people be catching L's because we being blocked from the beginning of history. Damn, that's a harsh one. And last one says, thanks, Rafi. Good night. Georgie Porgy, thanks for the stream, Raf. Absolutely. GMB catastrophe. Genghis Khan was probably a Venetian banker proxy, or working for the Venetians. Or the Venetians, or is that Italy? Italy. What are you saying? He's working for the what do you call that place? The Vatican. Is that what you're saying? Hey, I don't know. Did the Vatican exist even then? I don't know. Venetian. I'm sure that's around by Italy way. James Jameson, peace out, guys. Panel and chat. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Toe Rogan up. I don't know what that means. Don't know what that means. Okay, so where are we? Yeah. What was the title? We've come to the end of the show. What was the title? Let me get that up there. Salute. What? Statue toppling, anti-protesters, and Winston Churchill. London 2021. I mean, this statue got toppled in The statue got toppled in Bristol. That's Bristol. That was a port. That was a port, and obviously, I was gonna say it was a these ports. You know these ports what were used for back then. They were used for the trade that turned Britain, England specifically, from a place with little houses. You call them houses, hutches, small little villages. And it brought in the Industrial Revolution with all this money made from slaves or people from Africa turned into slaves. They brought about the Industrial Revolution. Guys like this. And then that drove competition. And then so everybody wanted to get in on the game. And the Spanish wanted to get in on the game. The Portuguese got in on the game. Who else got in on the game? The French, the Belgium, one of the wickedest men in the world. Leopold, what was it? King Leopold of Belgium. One heinous, wicked mofo.
Troy, I just wanted to tell Troy, the name of the book is The Ghost of King Leopold. Because I was going to put it in the chat, but for whatever reason, I can't put anything on the chat while I'm talking.
Yeah, you can't. When you're talking, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right.
So the Industrial Revolution, the money from that, basically funded the slave trade. The money from the slave trade funded the Industrial Revolutions, funded these grand houses, funded the first millionaire in Britain, England. Go look it up. Go check it out. Don't take my word for it. Now, where are we? Where are we in the chat? Where are we? Marla says, good show, Rafi. Yes. It was on my mind. I had to do it, but I didn't want to do it because I knew it would take. It's just getting those clips arranged. That alone is a nightmare because I had to check out the copyright issues. I think I've checked out the copyright. I think I'm okay. I don't think I've used anything that's going to get me copyrighted. So that's a headache. Then you have to arrange them. If you're just talking, it's okay. But when, Rafi, I like to have sound and vision with the Rafi. So that kind of makes it tricky. Good show, being very interesting, says the Equalizer. But it's well worth it. I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to knuckle down, just focus and just get it all together and plan it out mentally in my head just to get a nice cohesive show with a nice flow. I will fight for Winston Churchill. Bring it on. Just saying. Lol. Churchill going down over my dead body. The bodies of Marxists will be put in the Thames first. You're having a laugh. Where are we? What's this? Churchill's going down. If the people wills that he goes down, then he goes down. So I'm saying, if the people so decide. King Leopold committed more heinous crimes than Hitler. Yeah, he's a wicked mofo. It's a new age, chaps. Out with the old, in with the new. What do I think? Do I think the statue should come down? Some of them should come down. Put them in museums. Put them in museums. But I don't think that they should all come down. This guy over here, wicked mofo, Colson in Bristol. Yeah, pull him down. Put him in a museum. Winston Churchill, we found out today, was a wicked man. But he fought the Nazis. Fair enough. Give him that. Although, we have to look at the Nazis another day and see how powerful they actually were by that stage. Because if what they told me in school was true, he was running out of money. He had some severe financial issues, and they spread themselves too thin. Well, that's right. That's from what I remember. They spread themselves too thin, so they was ready for the picking, ready for that kick in the ghoulies.
And he blew it when he went against Stalin. Remember,
Yeah.
Stalin was his guy,
Mm.
and he flipped on him.
Yeah.
And that changed the tide of the war, really, because Russia got involved, and they was on the side with the Allies. So that's how Hitler blew it. That was his fatal mistake.
Fatal mistake. Fatal mistake. Hold on. Shola, it's part of white people's history. Well, it's not just part of white people's history, is it? Churchill isn't part of white people, just part of white people's history. It's part of Arab history, Palestinian history, Jewish history, African history. So yeah, he put himself about, mate. He's part of a lot of people's history, not just white people's. Where are we? Statues of slave traders. Get that garbage off the planet. Hitler was a socialist. The inconvenient truth, says James Jameson. Britain needs to give back all them jewels and artifacts they stole from Africa. 100%. Give back all that shizzle that you stole. No, the Nazis were at the peak of their power in 1940 when Churchill stood up to them. 1940 when Churchill stood up to them. They were at the peak of their power. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's not just British history. It's world history. African history as well. Well, certain parts of Africa. On the, the west coast. The west coast. Your people conveniently erased our history. The Mali Empire, the Mansa Musa, the richest man who ever lived. You erased the history of Black Wall Street. If that wasn't racist, I don't know what is. Mala, says Shola Ibofin.
Okay, how?
That's the perfect way. That's the perfect way to end it. That rounds it off and sums it up nicely. I concur. I concur with that view. I'm actually going to leave it up there. Gentlemen, it has been a very good show, I believe so. Wild Soul. It's been a very good show.
I agree. Great show.
Great show. Great show.
Really enjoyed the topic. You guys are very knowledgeable. You know, guys are very knowledgeable. That's why, for my edification, this is the place to be right now.
You heard it. You heard it from Wild Soul. You heard it from Wild Soul. You know, there's a lot of well, he said himself, I don't need to reiterate what the man said. You heard what the man said. And so yeah. So that's great. Wild Soul, you're welcome over here anytime because you're a good contributor. You came from out of the chat. Came from out of the chat, and you had the fortitude, you had the stones to actually press the button and get up on here. And always welcome. I like it's a worldwide feel over here. It's a shame that my Indian friend he had to drop off. The Wi-Fi was weak, but I want him to come back too. Vasa, I think his name's Vasa. Come back too. It's worldwide. We got Asia up in the building too. So we had Vasa or whatever. Hold on, his name was in the private section. I should be able to put. Yeah, it's Harsha. So much appreciation goes out to the Wild Soul. Wild Soul, anytime you're ready, my friend, come on back. Be a regular. Come on, regular.
Okay. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yes,
I think I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. So that was Wild Soul. That was the Wild Soul becoming a regular up in here. Thank you to the Wild Soul. And there were two. Troy Graham. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was gonna say the Wild Soul, man. Appreciate your strength and your I just appreciated him being here, man. He like I said, the brother's voice is very strong and he knew what he was talking about. And most importantly, what separates this show from all the rest of the shows is that you could come over here and you can have a heated discussion and still get your point across, and no one's being disrespectful. At the end of the day, we all leave the way we came in as men, and no one feels disrespected, or you didn't have to, you know, step on anybody. Excuse the phrase, step on anybody's neck, or just try to make them feel small or anything like that. And that's the sign. That's the sign of focus, growth, and manhood. Because it takes real men to actually have a heated discussion and not lose focus. You understand what I'm saying? So, as usual, before I say big up and bless up yourself, I'm going to say this show is it should be shared. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed, do so already. And we're definitely trying to keep the lights on, because we got some things coming up for you. We got some special things coming up for you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I don't want to ruin it. So just help us try and keep the lights on with the super chats. And I think you said something. Was it Cash App, Rafi? Did you say that?
Not yet. Not yet. We'll look into it. I'll look into Cash App.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, just, like I said, if just come by and help us keep the lights on, man, and we'll endeavor to grow and spread the good cheer. Because at the end of the day, what you see right now, it doesn't matter how large or big we might get in the near future. It's the framework and the purpose of it that will never change. Because we never gonna sell our souls for anybody. We're gonna keep it real and organic. I don't care where else you see that. It originated here. You wanna know how I know? Because I'm telling you. So big up and bless up yourself, man, and put me on hold so I can talk to you after the show, man.
Yeah, man. 100.
All right.
100%. So that was the Troy Graham. And that was it was good stuff. I'm happy with it. We got through a lot of stuff. We got through it very, very nicely. And thanks to everybody for coming in and sharing your points of view, making it a very, very lively chat. But don't forget about the super chat button. Don't forget about the like button. Don't forget about the subscribe button. All of the good buttons, hit them hard. Thank you to everyone for coming in and sharing your views. There's some good topics over here at Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio, and this is how we like to do it. It's an impromptu thing. Should have done it earlier on in the day, but I thought we'll leave it till tomorrow. But don't do tomorrow what you can do today. We'll be talking boxing. We'll be talking boxing tomorrow. But I said something that gave me the chuckles. What was this? People are trying to erase. People can't erase white history. White people erased. White people have erased other people's histories. So history is the white version. You know what I'm saying? We need to dig. We need to get past the white version and, sweep that to one side and get down to the real history. And that's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in whitewashing. I want the real, the real stories. But it's good that we could have you and everyone, Jameson, Marla, who we got, Shola Ibofin coming in strong, the Equalizer, Mr. Squiggly coming in strong. Who else? Loud is a new subscriber, Mr. Awesome, good debates. We got the GMB Catastrophe, and of course, the Mr. Georgie Porgy. Much appreciation, and so many more. I think the comment of the night has to go to Shola Ibofin. Your people conveniently erased our history, the Mali Empire, the Mansa Musa, the richest man who ever lived. You erased the history of Black Wall Street. If that wasn't racist enough, I don't know what is. Yeah, history has been whitewashed, but we're not interested in whitewashing. Only interested in digging past that and coming up with the real. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's been the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio, joined by Troy Graham and the Wild Soul and what's his name? Harsha Verdun. Harsha Verdun. So worldwide crew, worldwide panelist, and what's that? No, all countries have their history. So you're saying they are all true except for the whites. History has a point of view. No, I'm saying that history has been whitewashed by white colonialists. That's what I'm saying. White colonialists whitewashed history. But I'm not interested in the whitewashed version. I'm interested in the real. And so that brings us to the end. It's the Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like. It's the subscribe. It's the comments. It's the shares. And it is the hitting the bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And oh, I almost forgot. My view is put some of them statues in museums and leave the rest of them up there as a reminder of the blood that poured for men, European colonialists, to get rich off the blood of others. It's the Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comments, it's the shares. And we are out. Let me take you out with this. Where is it? Let me take you out with this. Where is it? Damn it. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do at all. Let's go out properly. Let's go out in style. Let's go out with some style and panache. Where's that thing? There it is. Is that it? Boom. 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 Blessed.